Next up, please welcome to the stage Connection, the software suite created to connect families and staff of residents and residential care communities to provide the best care possible. With Connection, families can feel informed and staff can be prepared because care is best when connected.
Oh, what a night. Late December back in '63. What a very special time for me. As I remember.
Good evening, judges. We are Connection. My name is Nate Hill.
I'm Leo Wolfrat.
I'm Hadley McDonald.
I'm I. Morgan.
I'm Fletcher Coble.
And I'm Finn Flaherty.
Judges, we have all watched as our elderly loved ones slowly lose the ability to care for themselves. Whether it be a dementia diagnosis, recent fall, or illness, our once lively and independent grandparents became in need of constant care. This resulted in the incredibly difficult yet all too common choice to place our grandparents into assisted living communities.
We have all seen firsthand the struggles and difficulties that residents and loved ones experience at these communities. We know them because we've all been there.
Despite sharing a similar dementia diagnosis, these individuals, our grandparents, have their own unique needs, behaviors, and interests.
Like my grandfather, who had sensitive hearing even in his old age, unlike other residents, and insisted on being spoken to softly by all caretakers.
Or my sweet grandfather, who lacks impulse control and requires constant redirection from staff to prevent dangerous behaviors.
Or my grandmother, who required assistance in day-to-day activities and reminders to prevent medical emergencies.
Unfortunately, these needs are complex, and sometimes they are missed by staff. My family saw this firsthand when a staff member forgot a vital element of my sweet grandfather's care. My grandfather, who could not walk on his own or talk on his own, was forced to find a nursing station in the middle of the night, all while bleeding and distressed. This resulted in an emergency surgery and 3 weeks in the hospital.
We are not alone in recognizing this problem. Staff feel it as well. Over 65% of medical mistakes were reported in 2022 alone. This proves personalized care is crucial for assisted living facilities, but their technology simply falls short.
Just look at this. We are failing our aging loved ones. My grandfather, Leo's, Maya's, your loved ones could be failed. They need a solution, and they need a solution now.
Introducing Connection, the revolutionary software suite that connects both staff and families to create a more personalized experience in assisted living. Connection is the only resident management solution that not only allows for, but promotes input from loved ones on their residents' care. Connection is proud to ensure that every resident is provided with the complete curated care that they deserve, because care is best when connected.
Judges, you may notice we've given each of you a hefty binder. What are these for, you ask?
This is essential method of resident care in over 81% of communities.
A resident in room 207 has just suffered a fall. He is on the way to the emergency room. Judges, can you tell me what dosage of his Alzheimer's medication he took today?
Which of the 7 most common Alzheimer's medications is he on?
What even is this resident's name?
Can you find this in your binder?
911 is asking for any pre-existing conditions. Can you find them?
Chances are you can't.
Judges, this situation is disorganized, stressful, and can sometimes lead to fatal mistakes.
We are the solution to this outdated and analog method of care. We are Connection.
Judges, let's log in. Connection operates off of 3 main pillars. The first of which is our personalized profiles. These profiles are created by loved ones for caretakers that help them build the relationships that they need with every resident they serve. Next is our care checklists. These care checklists are created by loved ones and doctors and ensure that every resident is provided with the care that they need in a timely manner, while also communicating that these needs have been met to their families. And finally, our care concerns page. Our care concerns page was built to streamline communication in these facilities, allowing every necessary party to be made aware if there's an emergency with a resident.
Our customer segment is corporately owned residential care facilities in the U.S., over 50 residents.
Our marketing plan for Connection will be using a direct sales approach. This involves reaching out and marketing directly to the corporates of the facilities. This will be an incredible opportunity as we only need to market to one group to scale Connection across the U.S. For example, Belmont's corporate is located in Houston, Texas, and if they were to purchase Connection, it could be in 36 of their homes. This marketing strategy will save us time and money while making us incredibly scalable.
Judges, you may ask yourself, why would a facility want to purchase Connection? Through our research, we found 3 main reasons. First, it is an incredible marketing opportunity. When speaking to residents' families, we found out that over 86% would use Connection as a determining factor in where to place their loved one. Next, it will streamline communications. A major pain point facilities that we spoke to is families calling all day long. With Connection, facility staff can do what matters, care for residents, and let our technology do the rest. Finally, with Connection, there is less room for error. When facility staff know a resident's needs, they are less likely to make a mistake.
Other than the typical analog charting you see in front of you, we have 2 competitors, LifeLoop and MatrixCare. MatrixCare is a digital electronic application that has a form of these checklists. However, families we spoke to said it has little to no personalization features. Furthermore, it lacks in these behavior and interest details about your loved one that these facilities long for. LifeLoop, on the other hand, is a software that sends a weekly update to your families, and unlike Connection, it is not made for your loved ones specifically. Additionally, it fails to include any medical information. Finally, only 20% of homes in the US contain a form of these electronic records.
Behind me are our loved ones, the inspiration for Connection, the why behind what we do. We are proud to be the only software on the market so deeply devoted to personalized, complete care. This is done so through our 3 pillars.
Our total available market is 30,000. This is how many residential care facilities are in the US alone. 23,000 of these are private, and 13,000 of these have over 50 residents.
While 13,000 may seem like a small market, over 81% of communities still use analog charting, making us incredibly scalable.
We are targeting a cost per bed of $190. This is a fixed rate based on the number of physical beds within a community and is not dependent upon resident turnover. This rate is also slightly lower than our competitors because we are new to the market. And additionally, communities will pay a one-time activation fee of $2,500 for transferring the data from their physical paper records onto our digital platform.
Our revenue breakdown. Connection is so incredibly proud to announce that year 1, we'll prototype with the Belmont Village. This means we'll take on 6 homes in our first year. Year 2 will reach 20 homes, continuing with Belmont and Brookdale's current scaling models in Texas. Finally, in year 3, we'll reach 50 new homes, continuing scaling models, and sharing connected care with the entire country.
As we are a software company, we don't anticipate any cost of goods sold. For our first and second year selling general administration costs, we're looking at around $18,000 and $25,000 respectively, covering travel, legal, marketing, and technical. For our third year SG&A costs, we're looking at right around $47,000. The reason this figure is so much higher is because we will have a much broader geographic scope, be spanning multiple states, and we will be utilizing search engine optimization within our marketing strategy.
Year 1, we'll have a gross profit of around $170,000 and a net profit of around $115,000. Year 2, our gross profit will reach $630,000 with a net profit of around $500,000. And finally, year 3, we'll have a gross profit of around $1.7 million and a net profit of around $1.35 million.
The most critical and important aspect of our application and company ideology is protecting our communities and their residents' data. We will have end-to-end encryption, separation of data, and be contracting with third parties to audit our data security and HIPAA compliance, so that we're not just meeting the HIPAA guidelines, but we're stretching above them, making sure that our clients' data is the safest it can be.
For our minimum viable product, we created a high-functioning professional prototype in collaboration with local UX, UI designers from Z5 and Miracle Foundation. We then presented these prototypes to families, staff, and management around Austin. When presenting our prototype, we decided to focus our questions on not only our prototype itself, but our problem analysis. Why were these nurses quitting? Why does management want these DNR warnings? Finally, we created a form to receive their valuable feedback.
In speaking with these industry professionals from Z5 and the Miracle Foundation, we gained invaluable knowledge on how we are going to go about the development, deployment, maintenance, and progression of Connection. Next, we analyzed multiple tentative quotes of how much an application of our scope will cost, which is reflected in our anticipated startup costs. Connection will initially be developed utilizing a framework called React Native. This will allow us to deploy on iOS, Android, and the web with one code base, meaning any updates will get pushed to every platform. Additionally, the backend will utilize HIPAA-eligible Amazon Web Services and their Dynamo database therein. Finally, we anticipate Connection and its core functionalities will be ready to launch within a year.
Judges, let's take a step back and talk about what we need to start Connection. Our team needs $22,500 to start Connection. $2,000 of that is going to be marketing. That's going to be us traveling to these facilities, corporates like the Belmont and the Brookdale, continuing to build our relationships with them in order to get ourselves in as many of their facilities as possible. Next is our customer analysis, which is $500. Our customer analysis is going to be us putting Connection in front of both management and staff at these facilities so we can fit their needs as best we can. And finally, we need $20,000 to start Connection.
We created Connection not only to preserve the lasting impact of me and Leo's grandfathers who unfortunately passed in assisted living, but to ensure that each and every future resident receive the best care they deserve, because care is truly best when connected.
Thank you, judges.
Well done. And by the way, nice ties.
Thank you.
I have a question about the setup fee, the $2,500 setup fee, where you're moving things from the old way of doing things into this new system. Somewhere along the line, I'm not completely sure I understand how you're going to onboard the families, right? You're taking care of some of the things that are very tactically there in terms of the data that they're, obviously it's not much of what they're using today. Tell us a little bit more about how you see that training process, the onboarding, because this is a very cultural big lift, this particular idea that you have, and it's a big problem. This is a very real problem. But a lot of this has to do with changing the way people do things and bringing the family in. So maybe expound a little bit more on that.
Absolutely. So when we spoke to facilities, the major pain point is these binders. And the way we would move them over is by taking the data and putting it into our software on the back end. For families, if they're a resident of a community that uses Connection, they would then get a code to join the app. Additionally, for the first couple of years, we'll probably be doing this ourselves, but eventually we'd like to create a team to do this for us.
I'm going to actually piggyback off of that real quick. So what you were saying about the families actually inputting the data into those personal profiles. So when a family puts one of their loved ones in one of these facilities, they will be asked by the facility to create one of these personal profiles. And so this is actually part of the process of getting one of your loved ones into one of these facilities. And additionally, if you have a loved one currently in a facility, it will be either a requirement or a very encouraged thing to create one of these personal profiles for your loved one.
Yes, and actually activating that profile where they training them how to use it, yes. Encouraging them, and I agree with you totally. I think if you found a very strong first early adopter and made them incredibly happy with what you're doing, that's where you start. You'll figure all this out, just like what you were saying. You'll come in and actually, learn from them what the needs are. But one or two that are just really adopting this, and a lot of the family is using this, a lot of the things that you had originally wanted are actually becoming a reality. I think you'll also see some surprises along the way, which is always the case. But yes, and thank you for that. And $2,500 actually I think is an appropriate amount. I think you could charge more if you really delivered the value here.
Great job. I agree. I think over time you could charge a lot more for that. Maybe talk a little bit about, there was so much in the presentation, great. Talk a little bit about how you think the staff, because as you mentioned, this is a very challenging job to work at, a lot of turnover. Can you talk a little bit more about what you think the staff will most experience from the product?
So with the staff that we spoke to at the Belmont Village, who we've met with on numerous occasions, they told us that a lot of it is going back to the binder, going back to the rooms, administering whatever care they have to give, and then back to the binder. And this is extremely hard for them to do on a daily basis. So when we showed them our UX, UI mockups, they said that they loved them. They said that this would help us be way more efficient and even care for more residents every day. So we think that they would adopt it extremely quickly.
Yeah, the binder's clever, by the way. Well played.
Thank you.
Look, I know some people have gone down this road. It's a tough road. You mentioned HIPAA a few times. I think there's going to be HIPAA things that you're going to have to fight with here. Jan's right. We both, I think, know people who've kind of tried a version of this. Culture change is really hard. It's a big culture issue. I do think I know an investor who's going to be interested. I'm really trying to understand. You're talking about you want to sell it directly to the facilities, though, not to the families, which means they're going to have to figure out how to navigate HIPAA to get everybody's information into the system.
Yes. So our application will meet all the HIPAA guidelines. And basically, right now, everything is analog. It's all on paper and everything. And so you have those traditional requirements for storing data in that fashion. But when it is put onto our platform, we will already be fully configured for HIPAA. There will be no problems with actually putting the data onto our platform because that should be a streamlined process. And of course, you will have to register some things and make sure that everything is in line to get that data for that specific client into our system. But overall, it should be a very streamlined process.
I hope you're right.
The cost of uncoordinated care and elder care is a multi-million-dollar problem. So can you tell me a little bit more about the competition out there?
Yeah, so currently the competition just contains bits and pieces of what Connection does. Like I said, Matrix Care, it's just a charting system that is just sent to these facilities, and it's basically just a very simple down version of the analog charts you're holding right now. And LifeLoop, all it is just a weekly checkup on families in these facilities, basically just confirming with their loved ones that their care is met.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.